Hi, and welcome to the Pilgrim Path Podcast. I'm your host, of course, Dr. Chris Serber. I'm the pastor of First Congregational Church and also the founder and executive director of Supply and Multiply, a ministry which began in Haiti and now is encompassing more and more of Central and South America and beyond. And today, I'm with my dear brother, Muller, as well as Michlet. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about God's heart for the refugee. Go ahead.
Yeah, you want me to ask you a question about?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, then.
Ask me the question you had. We were going to start out with a question that Muller has for us to talk about.
Okay, but what service? The church help a lot of people.
Yeah.
Can you tell what service you provide to those refugee people?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, indeed, our church is helping a lot of people who are coming from other countries through legal means, of course, through the parolee program, through this humanitarian parolee program. And we specifically, of course, have helped Haitian families, one Haitian family of 7, and then several young men at this point. We've also assisted a Haitian woman with her process of getting to her family here in the United States because of the extreme crisis and political instability and social instability in Haiti. We also, that happens directly through our ministry, Supply and Multiply, although a lot of the church is obviously directly involved and people are doing a lot of things to help. Also, Pastor Miguel Cruz, our dear brother who does the Spanish worship service hosted here at the church, and he's helped a number of people come from Cuba. And we're also involved in a number of other things, but specifically with that family and those young men and that one young woman that we helped. We help people navigate the process primarily by getting them the sponsor necessary, all of the legal paperwork necessary, not only to come from Haiti to America, but then also to try to properly help them to integrate into American society. For example, with the family we brought, Gary and his family, who I've known for years from Haiti, the level of investment is deep. I mean, from raising money to make the trip happen, to getting them safely to Port-au-Prince so they could get out of the country several months ago when conditions on the road were very dangerous. And of course, now their family's here. And from one day to the next, I might be driving Gary to a job while we're looking for a regular full-time employment as he's doing day labor, and some folks around the church have even put him to work. He got his work permit as soon as possible when he got here. And so the church, when his family showed up, the church also brought in gift cards and, food and clothes and furniture as we transitioned them into a house we rented for them. So, we're doing a lot of direct support with these people, but of course we have limited resources. We've helped get a couple kids accepted into Job Corps, a couple young Haitian men, so they can have a career, so they can get a vocation. And in the process of that, we've interacted with people who've asked us, hey, can you come over to a major city in South Florida, meet with some of the city leaders and try to duplicate what you're doing? We'd love to. And we need more people doing more of that. However, finding the volunteers to do that level of direct support, that's not easy. So we're praying about that. There's only 24 hours in a day, and we keep squeezing 25 and 26 out of the day. So we're helping in those ways. We have had a number of families that agreed to sponsor these young Haitian men that we knew that were, praying for and hoping to come to America and build a life. So we've got up in, North Carolina and Virginia, we've got a handful of families who have taken in these young men living in their house, putting them to work, helping them to do. A couple of them are business owners that put them to work almost right away as soon as they're able to get that work permit. So through existent relationships, we're helping people come who qualify for this legal immigration, all of whom have, they have deep interest to just building a better, safer, happier future for themselves. And so that's been, that's been what we're doing mostly. And then along the way, it's amazing. There's a couple, yourself included, and my friend Esther and a couple of other Haitian American people who've seen what we're doing and respected what we're doing and said, I want to help. And so, it's amazing how when you get busy doing something for God that helps people, and honors God, I'm always amazed at how many people will come around you to help. And we're seeing that happen as it grows and grows. Who knows exactly what the future is going to bring, but we know for sure that these folks that we've helped come here, or the Cuban families that Pastor Cruz has brought here, that we're able to, we started a food pantry here at the church, about 7-8 months ago. And the whole reason that I was inspired to try to see if the church would do that was because of all these refugees coming here. And I thought, man, I would love to be ministering. I can't be in Haiti right now. I want to minister to that population. But then here it's people from all over South America, all Central America, Haiti, Cuba, everywhere else. And so we're providing food. Last night or Tuesday night, we had the food. Yeah, it was last night. We had the food giveaway. Gosh, we've been so busy. And, we had all these families come through here, and there's all kinds of languages being spoken in this place. I mean, and, I think it's a beautiful thing. And I see the church coming together to support it. And then our network of people that support Supply and Multiply, so many of them are like, how can I help? We've always tried to show love in action. And what I've always found is that there's a lot of people looking to help for that. And, so that's some of what we're doing. Yeah.
Well, we're doing a wonderful job. But what the Bible say? What you doing that? What inspired you to do that?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So I just delivered a message the other day, Sunday, of course, coming from Leviticus chapter 19, verses 33 and 34, and then a whole bunch of connected scripture. Here's what the Bible says in Leviticus 19: When a stranger sojourns with you in your land, you shall do him no wrong. You shall treat the stranger who sojourns with you as if he was the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So when I read passages like this, and there are so many related passages. In fact, in the Old Testament, how you treated someone when they came to your country, the idea of extreme hospitality was a central moral principle, was a primary ethical responsibility of ancient Israel, as I believe it still is for the church. In Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 1, the Bible says, let brotherly love continue. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. Nearly a decade ago, a little more than that, I went to Haiti for the first time. And I grew up, poor by American standards. And I been around all of the United States, had been to a couple of other countries. And the first time I went to Haiti in 2013, and after my wife had gone, and then I went back with her, which she insisted that I go see. And I was like, why? Why do I need to go see that? I'd never heard anything good. I went there, and I saw so much shocking poverty, desperation, but I found something else that was so beautiful that I can never forget. The deep resilience and kindness and generosity and extravagant welcome. And I get it. Some people might say, well, of course those Haitian people in that poor community you went to, of course they welcomed you in because you could help. It wasn't like that. It wasn't, there's some of that, but that wasn't the majority sentiment, or the overall feeling was one of, hey, come on in. I'll share with you what I have. I'll show you what I know. Let's just become friends, especially with people in the poorest conditions that I encountered, and I was humbled by the kindness that they showed me, and also heartbroken that, oh my goodness, in my poorest situation growing up in California with a single mother who was struggling, I never went a day, a week without food. I never did that. There was no way I would have, no way. There was always such abundance of resources. And so I felt like I couldn't unsee it. I had to help. And what it really was is I'd been teaching and preaching passages like that for more than 10 years up to that point. And I thought I understood what they meant, and my heart was in the right place. I'd done a lot of outreach to homeless people in America, preaching and teaching the Bible in life recovery. I'd done all kinds of stuff that you would say, that's outreach. But when I was there, and I remembered passages like this, to love one another, to live sacrificially, it completely changed my whole paradigm of ministry. Up to that point, I had always thought, oh, I can be an effective teacher. I should pastor bigger and bigger churches so I have more influence. But underneath that, I knew that deep down I was also like, well, I want to be a person of influence. But when I went to Haiti, it was like, oh, none of that matters. Not my reputation, not the size of a ministry. All that matters is life on life with this person in front of me. And so when I walk around and I see people in such desperate situations, or people who've come from other countries seeking a better life, I've been where they live. I understand the desperation out of which they're coming. And so it's easy for me now, after having seen what I saw and now gone to other similar countries, although the truth is, we know that the truth is that it's very difficult to find another country with the combination of factors that make the situation sometimes so desperate and so difficult. Not easy. There's not very many places in the world like that. And so when I see a young Haitian guy or a Haitian man or a Cuban guy or a Venezuelan guy, somebody escaping communism or the gang violence and the struggle and the poverty, and I see them here trying to build a better life, I don't find it very hard to find compassion on them. You know, I've walked those dusty streets. But at the end of the day, it's a deep and abiding commitment to biblical truth and the reality of it that shapes my thinking to want to encourage and even inspire other people to want to do the same thing. Because I also know that if you try to hang on to this life, you can't keep it. But the more you give it away, the more of the constancy of the flow of the Holy Spirit comes into your life, and the more real your experience of God becomes. You know, God doesn't, I don't think he puts the best kind, you know, when you go to the gas station and you got the 3 different grades of gas, I just don't think he puts high grade fuel into engines that aren't pushing the limits a little bit. So I've found that the more I'm pushing the limits on following Jesus in total trust, the deeper my trust is, it seems like the richer the fuel of the Holy Spirit becomes. Because then God's like, yeah, you know, we need the fuel for the mission. And then it becomes less and less about me, less and less about us, and more about just the intrinsic human connection. We're most like God when we're loving people. There's a short version of that to answer that question.
Okay. But, I've been in that church for a long time. But when you moved to that church yourself as a pastor, what your expectation was?
Oh, to this church?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So that's a great question. When I came here, I was in a suburb of Detroit. And I had planted a lot of seeds to do inner city ministry, because the truth is, I mean, I feel more at home in wearing a pair of sandals and some old shorts and a Jesus t-shirt, walking up in the mountains in Haiti to preach the gospel somewhere, or to start preaching to kids on the street, or to go do evangelism on the street, or to go preach in a church or whatever, or like in the inner city of Detroit. I feel there's something about it, because I feel like I'm living a life more like just totally on mission, because I'm undistracted by material things or whatever. When I came to Naples and I saw that it's got like the highest concentration of millionaires in the United States, I was a skeptic. I really was. My wife, Christina, kept saying, hey, you need to contact that church. We had a strong interest to be back in Florida, where she's from, and closer to Haiti. And, I was a pure skeptic. But when I got here and I started meeting people, one of the things I realized is, even those in our community, especially in Naples, who have become the most financially successful, most of them are so down to earth. They made money. They're not people who are generational inheritors of money who've never had to work a day in their life. That stereotype doesn't really exist here. I'm sure it does, but I not in my experience, not in this church. And so when I came here, from those who've been the most financially successful down to the people that go to this church and come to the food bank, come to our food ministry, that whole spectrum, what I have found among these people is a bunch of love and support. I'm amazed. And what I'm convinced is that there are people from every strata, every circumstance, every layer and level of socioeconomic class that want to help, and they're often just looking for the authentic thing they can attach to. And so I think that I'm amazed people ever come back twice to listen to me preach, because sometimes I'm just pouring my heart out, and I know for some people, some of that stuff's hard to hear, because so much of our thought processes have been, hijacked by political interests, by propagandizers, by big corporations that want us to spend all our money, not help anybody with our money. And so when I lay that out, I don't know how any other way to preach. Here's what's in my heart. Here's what's in the Bible. Take it or leave it. And the beautiful thing is, I have found that in this church, there's so many people that want to help, that want to do things for the Lord. I think everybody realizes at the end of the day that God is calling each one of us to be a hero of our own, J.R.R. Tolkien story, of our own Lord of the Rings. Like everybody intrinsically knows that God's calling each one of us to be the hero of a story that He's written exactly, specifically, precisely for us. I'm convinced of that. The great congregational preacher Horace Bushnell said, "Every man's life is a plan of God, and there is a task prescribed for him specifically which no one else can do." So God has laid it out for us to do, like the Bible says, that to walk in love and good works prepared for us before the foundations of the earth. So for me, it's like, I don't want to live a life just for me. I want to be a hero of some kind of story, even if it's a little bitty story. And I find that most people who love Jesus, they want to do something like that. And here I'm inspired by the level of generosity of these people, the level of willingness to go along. Look at the way they welcomed Gary and his family. I mean, if you said to me when I was first looking for, first of all, when I would come to Naples, I assumed, so Naples is like old, rich, white money. Like that's what Naples, but that's not even true. That's here, but there's every other, look at our church. On any given Sunday morning, we've got 7 nationalities represented in that sanctuary, 7 or 8, depending on who came to church that day, And then after we're done, Pastor Cruz's people come in. They've got like 8 or 9. They all speak Spanish, but they're all from different countries, So our church, God bless what God did through Les Wicker and the people that came around him to plant this church, because at the end of the day, they laid a church out that seems obvious to me that in its DNA is this idea that we're casting a wide net. This is a place for everybody to grow and worship God. And the short answer is this church by a long shot exceeded my expectations, because I thought, it'll take me 10 years to teach these people to get on board with missions. And then it was like the first Sunday. They're like, your son's going to Kenya? Here, we want to help. Amazing. So amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about the congregational way, right?
Yeah.
Do you see any coincidence between refugee and congregational?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a great question. So the congregational way, of course, comes from the Pilgrims. So, that's a good question. So the Pilgrims left England under various sorts of religious persecution. It's not just the way the story's told. There's good historical evidence. That's essentially what happened. They went first from England, this group called the Scrooby Church, this group of people that had said, look, we don't want denominations, we don't want bishops, because especially corrupt bishops, we're just a congregation, and that's where the term comes from. They were like the original non-denominational church, you could say, but they were more intentional about it. They were undenominational. They were saying, we're not the only Christians, we're just Christian only. And if you're a follower of Jesus, you're our brother and sister. And so they left under those political and social pressures, came to New England, and then they were strangers. So they were foreigners. And so when they showed up, I think built into the congregational way, with all of its imperfections, with all of its accidents, with all of its mistakes, the beautiful strain that seems to have come right up to us is this idea that, we're all spiritual pilgrims. So we're sojourners, we're travelers in this earth, like the Pilgrim's Progress, the greatest, perhaps the greatest pilgrim book ever written. the story of Pilgrim going through this life, recognizing that he's not made for this world, that his ultimate home is heaven, and he's just trying to get back there. And so, yeah, inherent in our way is the idea that we're all pilgrims, we're all sojourners, we're all strangers in this land.
Can we say we're all refugees?
We're all refugees. Yeah, exactly. We're all refugees. I mean, you know, and this some of the trouble is, I think, for the American mind, and then that influences the mind of the American Christian, is that so much of the American way, I mean, I'm a Marine. I grew up in so much of the American way places us at the center of the world. And really at the center of the universe in the way we think about ourselves, I think, in our cultural assumptions. You know, you could look around the world, for example, and 1,000 people could get killed in a terrorist action in some other country, and the news will always say, even if it's the BBC, even if it's Al Jazeera, even if it's some other news agency around the world, there'll be 1,000 people killed, 13 of whom were Americans, and they'll make sure to say 1,000 people with 13 Americans. What about the Nigerians? What about the Kenyans? What about the Cubans? You don't hear that as much. And so for us, we have this because of, I think, the big influence of America. It's easy for us to see ourselves as somehow this is the center of the world. This is the primary place. We send missionaries. I've met missionaries from other countries who came to America to lead people to Jesus because of the, you know, conditions in our country right now. And so, yeah, we're all refugees. And you know, yeah, for sure. I mean, that is the intrinsic reality of the human condition is that we like to divide ourselves up, but the truth is there's no strangers here.
Okay, tell me, but you moved to Haiti, right?
Yeah.
You never speak Creole before
No.
that. That was a new language to you.
Yeah.
Why you moved to Haiti? Tell me how difficult it was just to communicate with people.
Oh yeah. So it's so difficult.
And then you can sense what difficult was for these people who came here to speak.
Oh, 100%. When I went to Haiti, once I had committed to going, I did an online program to learn Haitian Creole. And, you know, I learned a lot of words, but I didn't really know how people used them exactly. So when I moved there, it was so hard to communicate. And you know, the number one thing for me was I have to learn this language so that I know when I'm being taken advantage of. So I know when people aren't telling me the truth around me. So, and the truth is, I was surrounded by so many great people who you know, were going to protect me and if something bad was going to happen. But I know that feeling of anxiety, thinking, gosh, I don't know what they're saying. Maybe they're going to rob me. Maybe something's not right. And then, you know, when you start speaking Creole fast, it can, even if I know a lot of the words, you know, especially back then, I would just be completely lost and pick out one or two words and be like, oh man, I hope they're saying what I think they're saying. Well, imagine for my brother Michlet. So he doesn't have any idea what I'm saying right now. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, maybe not. And so there's all kinds of anxiety attached to that. You know, you don't know what people are saying. You don't know what's happening. Are you in danger? You don't know. Or then try to get your kids. I mean, one of the things we've done for people that we've helped come here is to get their kids registered for school, to get the vaccinations, all that stuff. Our system in America, yeah, there's a lot more of a safety net than in most countries. But boy, is it ever difficult when especially if you don't speak the language, and you go to the health department and you know, here more people speak Spanish than Creole, and if that one Haitian Creole nurse is not there, then now you need a translator. Maybe they struggle to find somebody to come in, you know, and there's a you know, everywhere I go, if I see someone and I think they're Haitian, I try to speak Creole with them. 99% of the time, they're super happy to do it. And then 1% of the time, it seems like maybe they're not as happy because they're just trying to blend in. They don't need that from me. They're just trying to blend in. Or they're just here and they're like, I'd rather speak English. And but I try to do that to offer to somebody a level of kindness and friendship, because you're not going to find a lot of, you know, Anglo pastors around America that can speak Creole with you. Maybe there's me and I don't know, a few hundred other guys, maybe. And so I see their eyes light up sometimes. It's like, oh, something I'm familiar with. Just like when I was in Haiti, when we first went there and I didn't have enough Creole to even go to, I could barely, you know what anybody was saying. To go to hang out with American missionaries was nice just because I didn't have to think so hard. I could just speak my mother tongue. So yeah, that's huge. And there's, it's exceedingly difficult to enter the culture in America when your language skills are limited in English. But it also could go a long way if the average American, rather than politicizing a human being, like this Michlet, okay, this man is not a political issue. He's a man. He's not a political issue. But you know, for a lot of us, because of the various factors that have co-opted our minds, mostly political, commercial, different reasons, then when we look at somebody and they don't speak good English, maybe we're prone to, you know, disparaging them. We think, because we see them as a political issue, when in fact they're a man. And the average American who's maybe only ever been, you know, to other parts of the world on a cruise ship, you know, you see a little glimpse of a country when you get off at a port and you see a little something, but you go back into the mountains a little bit, you see the realities. You know, I've been in Haiti when there's gunfire happening, and I'm a Marine. Talk about making me nervous. You know, the year I moved there, there's machine gun fire just a few hundred yards from the house, and I'm seeing tracers fly because the UN and the police and the gangs were you know, trying to gain control of the situation. And so I know how some of these people have lived and what they've escaped from. We've got to stop being so Amerocentric and be kingdom-minded people that take a look at this and realize there's no such thing as other people. We're all refugees. We're all strangers passing through this land, you know. Vous comprenez ça, moi dit? Non. Hey, qui ça vous pensez? Kounia n'a fait vidéo pour yon podcast, oui? Pour moi capable partager vidéo ça, conversation nous gain kounia, pour moi capable partager avec quelqu'un sur internet là, pour moi capable mettre sur Facebook, pour moi capable email pour moun dans l'église nous, pour yo capable ouais conversation nous. Muller avec moi-même, nous parler pour quelque temps sur tout le monde c'est réfugié. Vraiment, oui, si nous comprenons Bible, tout le monde c'est réfugié. Tout le monde a voyagé pour passer dans le ciel là. Oui, l'homme c'est l'homme, peuple c'est peuple. Qui se vous pensez, si vous êtes capable, combien de temps vous avez aux États-Unis? Vous avez quelques mois? Non. Un mois? 5 jours?
12 jours.
Combien?
12 jours.
Oh, ok, oui. Pas en pile temps. Non. Qui se vous pensez? Nous sommes capables de traduire Saoudi. Qui se vous pensez? Vous êtes capable de dire pour Américains, si vous voyez dans your market, vous voyez un réfugié. Oui? Mais où c'est moun? Où c'est moun? Qui se vous pensez? Vous êtes capable de dire sur qui se vous pensez sur Léo commencer à entrer dans les États-Unis? Est-ce que vous pensez en pile moun? Vous connaissez, vous acceptez ou? Est-ce que vous pensez vous capable de dire une parole qui est capable d'aider vous comprendre la situation où sauter avec plan ou gain dans les États-Unis pour la vie? Qu'est-ce que vous pensez? Bayo une parole. Bayo une bonne parole qui est capable de bayo encouragement ou bien étudier une bagay. So qui est capable de traiter un réfugié les way dans l'area?
Alors premièrement, les web ils doivent être pour son monde.
Right.
Quelle que soit la couleur, quel que soit le pays de sortie, son monde.
Oui, bam tampo tradi. Okay, so he said the first thing I would say, I asked him a question like, what would you say if you're somebody who sees you just out in the community? And he said, the first thing is I would hope that they would see me just as a person, not as a race, not as a color, but that I'm a person.
Et en tant que monde, parce que vous appelez pour vivre sur la terre. Parce que la terre est faite pour monde vivre et pour nous partager toute richesse qui est sur la terre. Donc, quel que soit le pays où il est, quel que soit le pays, surtout pour les États-Unis, bon, comme les États-Unis lui-même sont pays riches, et je pense qu'il t'a doué peut-être partager avec l'autre pays l'autre peuple qui n'a pas de moyens et qui t'a voulu vivre bientôt.
Okay, so he said, you know, he would hope that people would recognize that the world belongs to everybody. Everybody is on this earth. And, you know, he'd come to a place like America that is like a more rich country, and he would hope that people would recognize that other people who don't have the same opportunities, that it's good for us to participate with those people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but close.
Et on va te parler, mais
Yeah.
la translation.
Yeah, yeah.
Oui, alors pour avancer, parce que si nous considérons la Bible, si nous considérons bon Dieu, donc bon Dieu fait la terre pour monde vivre et vivre bien. Donc, et surtout, si nous prenons espérance, nous tout à travail pour aller, jeune bon Dieu, pour aller dans le ciel, en quelque sorte.
So God made the world for everybody to live on it and to advance, to move forward. And he gave me too much at once. That's what he said. And then, yeah.
Hopefully just
So the whole world is made for that, for people to live well, to have opportunity, and to increase possibilities.
me the suits by now. But me the suits by.
No worries. We're just having a real conversation. Yeah.
Et puis l'autre bagaille tout, alors,
And another thing as well.
oui, c'est. Alors, si nous considérons, même considération de faire, si nous allons dans le même sens là, puisque la terre est faite pour monde vivre bien, bon Dieu créé monde tout pour vivre bien. Donc, quel que soit côté où il y a, nous avons une harmonie qui permet tout le monde de vivre bien. Donc, c'est pas chercher peut-être détruire l'autre. Pour une, tu as détruit l'autre, mais c'est plutôt harmonique que tu as fait pour montrer avancer plus bien. Hélène.
Yeah.
He gave,
Oh,
me,
it's
too,
just-
he gave me too much at once. So he lost me halfway
To
through.
explain,
Yeah.
we don't have to fight each other. It's just
Right.
the whole situation. You have to live together and
That's
be
right.
happy.
We have to live together, not fight each other. Yeah, exactly. And we can move forward together.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
What about Zeman?
well, I'll tell you.
I know
yeah, go ahead.
you never expect that. More about about the conversation, but that's the whole situation. But for those refugees, you know,
Yeah.
we used to have a school like in Michlet, we used to have a Gulf High School. They used to use it for refugees to learn to speak English.
Really? They had like a night school or something at the high school?
They closed it down.
Right.
But you been to other countries like Haiti, as an organization, but as a church organization and a supplies and multiply and other things. I know you're in contact with several other people.
Yeah.
Church. Do you never plan to open any?
You know, I heard the other day from someone, from Esther, from a Haitian American woman. She said she thinks that there's a school like that they're doing at Golden Gate High School, but I'm looking into it, but I haven't been able to find any information.
But officially, the Golden Gate High they use it as a site to people to go to learn.
To teaching, to learn English. I know my brother, my friend Mark, see, this is, I think, some of the real challenge, because I think that, again, I mean, I think it's rooted in some of the political divide in America, that I think a lot of people are not really fully accepting. They for one thing, they wrongly think that the people coming here legally as refugees is the same thing as all the people flooding the southern border illegally. These are not the same thing. These are two separate issues. But in the mind, a political mind of people, I think a lot of people aren't, you know, there's not enough community interest in supporting these refugees as there should be. That's what I really think. My brother, Pastor Mark, who's the pastor at the Pelican Church on Golden Gate Boulevard, they offer English classes. Gary and his wife, Pierreman, have gone to some of those, and he's about to start them back up in January. And they have Spanish-speaking and Creole-speaking people there learning English. And you know, they have a wonderful church. They do a lot of outreach. They have a very similar spirit to what we have. In fact, they're focused on being an outreach church. But I don't understand why there isn't, and maybe somehow we can generate the right discussions to create more of it, but you know, it's not just because of compassion, but also practical reasons. I mean, if people dislike that when they try to talk to somebody at the grocery store or their gardener or someone at a I don't know, at some facility or whatever, and the person doesn't have much English, they should want to support getting them more English for their own selfish interest, because they want their community to flourish. We don't need the Haitian community over in one place, all the Spanish speakers in another place, and then the English speakers all in another place. It's like he said, we need everybody. If we're going to have a great community, we need to not resent the people who've come to try to participate in it. We need to fully embrace and accept them. So I don't know. It's something that I need to look into more, because there really should be an easy offering of English classes. There really should be. It should exist, even because it doesn't even cost much. That's just a building and someone willing to volunteer their time. And maybe that's some of the trouble, is that maybe there's not enough effort being done to gather those volunteers. Or maybe
I don't know the reason they close that site on Gulf Coast Gulf Coast School, but I don't think so. We get that site anymore too. But we don't think those churches can use.
I think
we can influence those. Can use those church site to.
I think for sure. In fact, if maybe that's some of the conversation that we should have. Maybe there's some people who would volunteer. We can open it up right here, and we could teach some English class right now. I mean, maybe not right now this minute, but if we put the word out, and if people want to come, and then that's another issue too, because like our location may or may not be the best location. I think we could do something here, but if we were like in Golden Gate City, where there's so many people that's where they're coming into. But really, it should be, I think, satellites all over town, where there's opportunities, because somebody might live nearer here, or somebody else. They just might feel comfortable if they got an invite, and they would go if they knew that somebody who was doing it.
Because the way I think, because when I'm a refugee myself, because I came here since when I was 30 years old, right?
Yeah. When did you came in the? Was that
2002?
2002. Okay. Yeah.
I went to school. It was I came here on December 2002. It was December 8, 2002, right?
Okay.
And I went to school at Hodges University.
Yeah.
Right there.
Fort Myers or Estero?
No, right there. On Oxford,
oh yeah. They had the one. Yeah, that's
okay,
right.
It was an international college at that time.
Okay.
They changed the name to Hodges. I don't know,
gotcha.
Because the guy gave a big donation. I don't know.
Yeah, they named it after
big donation.
Right.
Okay, but when I came here, I was an accountant.
Right.
Back to Haiti.
Yeah.
But people will probably see me, but they will say, "Men comptable." Yeah. I was an accountant in Haiti. But when I get my first job was not in accounting.
Yeah. Right.
Even though I was a skilled accountant.
Right. Yeah.
But when people came here, they came here if it's a skilled people.
Right.
But it's the resources you can use.
Yeah, that's true.
If they learn to speak the language, they can use their skills. They can put their skills to use those skills, people. Let's say example of Michlet, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me Michlet a dit qui sont Haïti? Michlet was a graduate.
C'est administration et puis on fait administration publique, mon spécialité administration publique.
Yeah, it's a public administration.
Yeah, right.
You used to was for the government, not anymore. Man.
Yeah. Right.
It was a skill, but that Haiti lost.
Oh yeah.
For now.
Right.
For now.
Yeah.
But is someone who now start learning the language can use the skills for. But we need skills people
better the community. Everywhere I look, people say that there's a crisis where you can't fill jobs. And then a lot of these people coming from other countries, they come with skills. I mean, and that's a mistake that I think a lot of people think. A lot of people think there's this real big error that I wish people wouldn't make, right? And it probably happens all over the world, I bet, where if someone's in your country and they don't speak your language, you assume that they're uneducated, you assume that they don't have any skills, but that may not be true at all. They might be somebody who's uneducated, but they might be a PhD, and in their language, they're a brilliant guy.
I bet you on that refugee program, the Biden, we call it Biden program.
Yeah, the Biden program. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how Haitians call it.
I saw teacher.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Right.
Nurse.
Yeah.
Came here, but they don't speak English. Nobody can use them right now.
That's right.
Now, if but when I'm saying nobody can use that now, if something happened to you. You don't need to speak English to help.
If the nurse is there, she can help me.
But what you need to do is just to get those satellite people, those school to teach people
yeah.
how to speak English, because when people came, we spend money. We invest money on those people.
That's
we
right.
We cannot just let them go to.
Oh no, because that's a huge mistake. If we're going to open the door, if you let somebody come in your house and they're hungry, you need to feed them, even if only because it's a better use of resources. Because, like you just said, it's an investment. It's not a handout. If you can. This is the biggest trouble, I think. I'm of two minds about this refugee program, because I love it for opportunity, but then we're letting people in, but we need more community support to help people transition. Like for Gary and his family, without the hours and hours that we've put into them, I just can't imagine that they would be anywhere on track like they are to be successful. It must be so difficult to come here and then not have that level of support. And then, what do you do? I met a guy outside of Walmart one day, and I thought he was Haitian, so I started speaking Creole to him. And we had this long conversation, and he had a sponsor who helped him come, but then couldn't provide much help for him after that. So he found a cousin. Every Haitian got a cousin somewhere in America. He found a cousin that was going to help him, and I hope things worked out for him. But if we've got to do that. In fact, that really is something that we should look closely at, about the learning English. But well, hey, I appreciate it, Muller. Thank you. This is a great conversation. Merci en pile. Moi j'ai en pile appréciation pour vous. Moi content ou là. Vous connaissez ça? Ça c'est la caille moi. Moi accepte ou connais pour moi-même ou pas étranger. Oui.
Merci.
Ou en son famille, moi, oui.
Merci.
Même tant que moi t'es allé en Haïti, moi t'ai fait connaissance avec un pile monde qui t'ai accepté, your famille, moi. I'm content là. So I just told him I'm glad he's here. As far as I'm concerned, he's no stranger. Just like when I went to Haiti and people made me feel like I was at home. So thanks for listening, and let's keep praying and see what God specifically leads us to do. A lot of things don't need more money thrown at them. They need some time and attention and some volunteerism, and a simple, kind conversation, a loving heart. When you see these folks on the street, which you'll see them. I was doing some research today. That right now, nearly 14% of all Americans were not born in America. The last time that the number of non-native born Americans was that high was in the 1890s, when people were fleeing all kinds of problems and looking for a better life. So we're at a real pivotal time, I think, in American history, and it always behooves the church to pay attention to those pivotal times, because they represent opportunities to glorify God and to help people. So God bless you today. Thanks so much. I sure appreciate it, my friend. Merci en pile.
Yes.
Okay. God bless you.